What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So if you missed it over the weekend, we did a video here on the PlayStation Vita, specifically ordering games online from GameStop for the Vita, and in that we introduced a giveaway that you can enter actually even now. It's going to run to the end of this month, so about 10 days or so. We'll pick a name, and then someone will be getting a PlayStation Vita, which is going to be really cool. You can check the link down below if you want to enter for that. Today, though, we have a bunch of stuff to go over because we have to talk a bit about this controversy with Nintendo, Atlus, and Tokyo Mirage Sessions that's coming to the Switch. Turns out the version that is coming to the Switch may not be the one that a lot of people really wanted. And then we have to talk a bit about Okami 2, possibly being a real thing. It's interesting to see this possibly happening, but it's something we have to go over. And then some BlizzCon leaks that might have BlizzCon really rumbling, even with all the protests going on. As always, guys, enjoy these videos. Make sure to like button, it does help out, and make sure you also subscribe so you can keep up to date on all the gaming news going on in the gaming world. And we're actually going to start today with Control. Control has been kind of under the radar. I mean, it came out, it seemed to miss like the NPD completely, which was weird. Like, it didn't show up really at all. And now it looks like they are getting ready for their expansion pass and their DLC, but something they did on PC, which is concerning at times for these post-launch updates, is they attempted to add DRM to this game. They even had to put out this apology about it, saying that the DRM appeared to damage the game to the point where it wasn't working at all offline, and you had to use just straight up the Epic Game Launcher while connected for it to work. And then it also lost Steam controller support. They rolled it back to the previous version with the different update and basically pulled it back, but it shows that, yes, it seems that Control is going to get some sort of DRM that is going to work to, I guess, just stop people who are downloading the game illegally, but it is odd to see this happen. Usually, you'll have DRM when the game comes out, not, you know, like a month or so after the game's been out, although I guess they're getting ready for the expansion, so they're like, hey, if we're going to put DLC out that's paid, we want people to actually be paying for it, but online DRM for a game that doesn't need online is still pushing it, I think. Also, Jedi Fallen Order is out next month, of course, midway through the 15th or so, but it has now gone gold. They put this up on Twitter with Respawn, and only 4 people asked to not be included in the video, so there are 4 people who have their faces blurred. That was a little confusing to a lot of people. Most likely, they were just saying, hey, we don't really want to be online, so we'll be in the picture for internal use, but just, you know, blur our faces out. Hey, go check out the image, see if you can find the people who have their faces blurred out. And then we also found out how large the game is going to be on the Xbox One, weighing in at 43 gigabytes, which is, I'd say, about right. Most people, I mean, a lot of times we expect, because it's coming on at this point, dual layer Blu-rays and everything, we expect them to push those limits at 50 gigabytes plus, like something with Death Stranding, but I guess 43 gigabytes, okay, you're going to need to make sure you're having that thing download maybe overnight for some people, but you know, it's something we've become used to at this point. 100 gigabyte games, 150 gigabyte games, 175 even for Call of Duty. I guess technically, if you look at that, then you look at Jedi, the Fallen Order, it does look small compared to that, but not to the previous generation with the Xbox 360 and the PS3. Oh, and I like to keep people up to date and informed on any games that leak, just in case you want to be, I guess, just not knowing much going into the story. And a lot of times, well, at least recently, Call of Duty hasn't really had a campaign or much to spoil, to be honest. Well, this year, there is a campaign, and it's been hyped up quite a bit. But as you're seeing here on Twitter, the game has leaked out. It seems to have broken street date pretty badly, by the way, because now there's even a person on Twitch who says that they have bought multiple copies of it and they're attempting to sell it for north of $200 each. I think I'm okay, and I'll wait, you know, until Friday if I want to play it, although Outer Worlds is kind of calling me, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see reviews on all of that stuff, but yes, just be aware, Call of Duty is out there, so if you see a thread on a forum somewhere or you see people talking on Twitter and it says spoilers, don't look at it if you want to be surprised by what's supposed to be a pretty shocking and fairly interesting campaign, at least what's been promised to us. And guys, some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. We're going to start right away with Tokyo Mirage Sessions Encore. Now, this is an odd situation because there's so much going on here, but let's kind of get started from the beginning. Now, we of course know this game is coming to the Switch in January. It appears to be, I guess, Nintendo's big launch to get things started for the year. But there seems to be a problem, and Nintendo themselves have admitted that it's technically a problem because they have now apologized and they are offering refunds to anyone, it seems to be anyway, anyone in Japan who is not happy that this is the Western version of the game. Now, I didn't really play this game on the Wii U back when it came out, but it was originally released in Japan. There was questions if it would actually make the jump or be localized outside of Japan by Atlus. Turns out that it was, and Atlus took it and strangely decided to work on it in-house with very little help from Nintendo, it seemed, which was it's strange to Nintendo even, but Atlus took it. They did quite a bit of censoring, it seems, and then they moved it over. They changed a lot of stuff for, according to them, to be more appealing to a wide audience. Now, the things that they did was change outfits on characters, they raised ages of the characters, and there seemed to even be a DLC that was omitted from the game at that point, and some of it actually didn't make sense in the game because of some of the stuff they changed. However, most people look to the Japanese version as being like the definitive one. In fact, there has even been a restoration process that has been going on as a patch for the Wii U version that you can technically then take and apply to the Western release. But what's happening here is the Switch version will be that one. So there will be what's been, again, dubbed as censorship, that is being moved over, and now that's coming out, and it's going to be released in Japan as well, and that's why Nintendo is now offering refunds. What's interesting about this, though, is after this started happening, the Wii U version of the game in Japan jumped to the top of Amazon Japan for specifically Wii U games, so I guess they sold about 20 copies. Now, it does show that people are not happy necessarily about this. Maybe they were waiting for the Switch version because it got announced. They said, oh, well, why would I buy it for the Wii U? Well, now there's apparently a reason, because that Japanese version is still the uncut, I guess the overall vision of the game unfiltered. So now the question is, why is Nintendo picking the Western version, the one that was taken from Japan and pretty much not necessarily stripped down, but clothed more and brought over, and having different things change that does affect parts of the story and some dungeons and everything that people have already talked about quite a bit? There's a couple reasons for this, to be honest. I don't think Nintendo is looking at this as being this big thing. Like, I don't think they're looking to drop this and sell millions, right? And I originally thought, okay, maybe Atlus is doing this, but there was an email that was going around where people were asking a customer service rep, and they said, oh no, it's all Nintendo. They're dealing with it. We have very little input on this. So Nintendo, I guess, looked at the releases that they had in front of them and said, you know what, we're gonna take the best-selling one. Because, believe it or not, this game sold better outside of Japan. And that might surprise some people to hear, but it really didn't sell that much in general. It appears to have sold somewhere between 300 and 400,000 worldwide, and a lot of that was in the US and other parts of the world outside of Japan. So maybe they looked at that and they said, well, we're gonna pick one. We're not gonna be doing different versions of the game. We're not gonna do a ton of localization ourselves and take the Japanese version and work on it. We're just gonna take one, and we'll then take it and kind of morph it in to work with Japan, and that way all of the other regions are pretty much taken care of, and we just got to worry about Japan at that point. And it does make sense why I guess they would come out and say, hey, you know, for the Japanese audience that maybe wanted that uncut version or the normal version that they're used to wouldn't be getting it, because why would they, I guess, technically downgrade at that point? But that seems to be the biggest thing here, is that Nintendo is basically picking, as a lot of people have said, the censored version because it is designed for pretty much the worldwide audience. As Atlus has said, I think I would have preferred them to put a little more time and maybe even some effort into it and localized that Japanese version straight up, because Nintendo, this goes completely against what Nintendo's done with trying to tell third parties what they can and cannot do with their games and what they have to change and everything. Nintendo's been very lax on that, like straight up. And it's very odd to see this, but that, I guess, was Nintendo's strategy. They don't want to spend a ton of money on it, but they also, I guess at that point, they just say, hey, we're just gonna bring this one over, and that's just the way it is. I would have preferred them to take that other version from Japan and really, I mean, this was their chance, right? That's why a lot of people are disappointed. This was their chance to take a game that really didn't get, I guess, the full look outside of Japan and just put it everywhere, right? The original vision. But that's apparently not what's going to happen, unfortunately, and it's coming out in January, and I don't think it necessarily hurts the game completely. Like, I think you can still play it. I still will, but I do also recognize that it's not going to be the original one. Next up, let's talk about Okami 2. Now, I know there was an Okami game after the original Okami, but a lot of people don't really look at that as the true quote-unquote sequel. although I guess a lot of people do say it technically is the continuation of the story, it's not necessarily what a lot of people consider to be the next step in the series, but a lot of people have been hoping that it would happen eventually. There has seemingly been some strife between Capcom and Platinum and all that to make this happen, and it does technically come down to Capcom if they want to do it, but this tweet came out and it set the internet on fire over speculation on if Okami 2 could really happen. Check this out. This is from Kumi Nakamura, who you may remember as the person who was on stage during Ghostwire, dancing around on stage. It was very, very fun. But this says, Okami is going to be back. We want to make Okami a sequel, and fans are looking forward to it too. You guys want to see Kamiya's Okami again, right, everyone? I want to work on it too. And then it showed her kind of walking off, saying, yeah, okay, with Kamiya giving the thumbs up and everything, all excited. I would love to see Okami 2. That would be amazing. Here's the thing though, if they're gonna do it, and it's really a thing, somehow Capcom and Platinum have worked it all out, I hope they save it for one of those crazy surprise reveals, right? Like Deadly Premonition 2 isn't a big enough game to get people to like really jump out of their seats, but it was kept a very, like a big time secret. No one really knew about that. So if they're going to do Okami 2, I hope that is also a massive secret. Can you imagine if we see all of that come together during a Direct or a State of Play or E3, and here we go, Okami 2 flashes on screen? That would go nuts. People would freak out if it's a live presentation. They'd freak out on stream. It would be really, really fun. But I would like to see that. However, I do question at this point, after talking to quite a few people, if Capcom and Platinum will really be able to come together to make it work. It does sound like there was some bad blood there, but we'll see. It's just something to kind of keep an eye out for. It'd be interesting to also bring in Akumi on this, because obviously she left Tango Gameworks, so what if her next project was Okami 2. Next up, let's talk about a possible leak leading into BlizzCon, where we think there will be some pretty good announcements. I know there's going to be a lot of stuff going on outside of just games at BlizzCon. It does sound like there are going to be some pretty serious protests that are already forming and ready to go, but we also expect some announcements to be there, and there appears to have been a leak for an art book that already made its way onto the internet. So this was spotted on Reddit, as you're seeing here, an image of it. This was spotted by SK over there, and he says, found this in the German GameStar magazine today. The text says something like, with over 500 artworks from Diablo, Diablo 2, Diablo 3, and Diablo 4, this book presents remarkable pieces of art. Well, that sounds great and all, but there's only one issue. Diablo 4 is not announced yet, and I say yet because I think this could be one of the big announcements. There are some other games, I don't want to really get into them right this second because they are technically still rumored, and maybe we'll do a big rumor wave over the BlizzCon leaks and rumors leading up to it. But it sounds like there could be quite a few announcements at this show, and I know there's going to be a lot of other stuff going on, but Diablo 4, that would get some people excited. Even the people outside protesting might kind of look in and go, is Diablo 4 in there? Huh. I gotta go to the bathroom. Yeah, I think it's gonna get people at least excited. I like the idea of Diablo 4 being there. I like the idea of Diablo 2 Remastered. That would be cool. And there have been rumors about another Overwatch game, but I'm not sure about that one necessarily, especially since they're still making quite a bit of money on the first one. But Diablo 4? That might get some people excited, unless it's on a cell phone. And our last bit of news, let's talk about the NPDs for September. These came out like right at the end of when we were filming the last news wave, so this is technically from last week, but I still wanted to go over it because it does give us a look into how things kind of went in September. It also gives us a look at NBA and Link's Awakening, because there was a lot of controversy, we'll say that, around NBA and their slot machines, but surprise, surprise, it still did pretty well. Let's jump over to the top 10 as you're seeing here with NBA 2K20 at the top. That's also become the best-selling game of the year already. Borderlands 3, though, right below that. FIFA 20 at 3. Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening at 4. We're going to come back to that because that does not count digital sales, by the way, but it still came in at 4, which is pretty good. Madden NFL 20 at 5. Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint at 6. Gears 5, another one we'll have to go over, at 7. That little tick there means that Steam sales are not counted. Code Vein at 8, NHL 20 at 9, and then Mario Kart 8 again there, no digital sales included. And for the month, the Switch, surprise, surprise, the best-selling system of the month, which Nintendo already told us that in that press release, I think it's what, 10 months in a row, and it probably won't lose an MPD until like next year holiday, like till the PlayStation 5. Once the PlayStation 5 and the Scarlet come out, those things are gonna sell like crazy. obviously over the holidays going to next year. So yeah, there's a chance that at that point it'll falter a bit because the brand new systems are out. And to be honest, the Switch could be north of 60, maybe even coming up on 70 million at that point with the Switch Lite and everything out. So that wouldn't shock me. Seeing Link's Awakening, though, up there in the top 4 with no digital, that's pretty big. Gears 5, though, at 7 I mean, they're pushing Game Pass, so a lot of people probably downloaded it, but it is interesting to see a big time release from Microsoft not even crack the top 5 in its release month. That is a bit strange, but we'd have to also see the numbers for Game Pass and see how many people downloaded it and all of their concurrent users and the other stats that I'm sure they push. But so far, yes, the Switch is rolling along, and a lot of us expect it to for probably at least the next year plus right now, going into, I'm going to say next November when finally the next system's release. Otherwise, though, yes, NBA 2K20 took the top spot despite all of the controversy, which honestly may have just advertised it more. These games, like I said, when it tie in sports and you know, like Madden and Call of Duty and stuff, they're still unstoppable with the mainstream, despite a lot of the backlash online. And we'll finish up with a comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This one is from Simeon saying, remember not to pre-order EA games, they might pull a fast one on you. I would even go as far as to say, don't really pre-order any games. Like, I don't really know, outside of, I guess, preloading, you would do a pre-order on digital. That's the only thing I can think of, and that would just be pretty much ready to download at midnight and play at midnight. Otherwise, I don't really know why we pre-order outside of limited edition systems or I guess limited edition games. That's about it. Like, I don't really know why anyone would pre-order a regular copy of Call of Duty that's out, you know, on Friday. Why? Like, it's going to be there. It's going to be in stock. And if you get it digitally, it's going to be there. Like, they're not going to run out of digital copies or anything. So I say, don't really pre-order anything unless it's a brand new system. Like, sure, pre-order the PS5, pre-order the Scarlet, pre-order anything that the Switch is doing, is, you know, that's limited edition like the Pokemon one or anything. But everything else, you can just wait for day one, see the reviews, of course, and then kind of decide what you want to do. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. Enjoyed this video, guys. The like button really helps out. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about today, whether it's Tokyo Mirage Sessions. What do you think about this situation with Nintendo? Do you think they purposely picked the worldwide release because they don't really want some of that content in there when they distribute it everywhere? Or do you think they just picked literally the easiest path to releasing this game on the Switch and really spending the least amount of money, and it just turns out that it's the one that's censored? Let me know about that down below. What about, of course, Diablo 4 possibly being at Blizzcon, and then Okami 2? Is that a day one? Is that one of those freak out moments on stream when they announce that? Thanks, guys, for watching, and I'll see you next time.